what do you think makes up the Atlanta area that puts that in us?
I would say everyone has a goal and they want to work with people, but a lot of people do a lot of talking and they think they're doing something and they ain't really doing nothing.
Nice.
Our users talk in real time, then they decide on the back end of that real time conversation if they would like to match or not. Honestly, majority of our partners and our businesses has been through word of mouth. Or I know this person that knows this person, I'll connect you.
Well, welcome to the I Have an App Idea podcast. Very happy to have you here, Kiki.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate you.
Of course, of course. So I did a little research on you. Mm-hmm. You went to Kennesaw.
I did.
Are you from Atlanta?
Yeah, so I'm from, okay, you know how they do in the not Atlanta
Yeah, I understand.
thing. So yes, but no, I'm from Gwinnett County. I went to Buford High School.
Okay.
And once I graduated, I was a track and field athlete at Kennesaw State University.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Now, what do you think about the Atlanta metro, whether that be in the perimeter or outside of it, makes people entrepreneurial? Like, that wasn't a question I planned on asking you.
Okay.
But when I was like, you were having your research, I was just like, there's so many hustlers, entrepreneurs from the Atlanta area. And like, what do you think makes up the Atlanta area that puts that in us?
I really don't know. That's a good question. I would say it's weird because I'm realizing now that the people I'm starting to work with, we have connections from like, oh, we went to high school down the street from each other, or we played sports together and we didn't really know each other, but now it's kind of like coming back full circle. And it's kind of like that red string method. I don't know much about that method, but my friends tell me about it. It's somewhere you're like connected through life. But I think that's the beauty of Atlanta is like, you can go anywhere and you have the opportunity to promote yourself, to get new business, to collaborate. And I think if you're putting yourself in the right places, you can find the right people to help you get to the next level or next step, whatever you're looking for, whatever you're seeking for.
For sure. I feel like there's an energy of like not only like creativity but collaboration here.
Yes.
And people are receptive to like original ideas. Like I think I'm from Jacksonville, Florida originally. And I always see back on Facebook when I get on Facebook, people are like, people here don't support each other. You can't get an idea off the ground. I don't know if that's necessarily true or if that's the circle of people that they're in. But I feel like overwhelmingly in Atlanta, people are like, you know what? Hell yeah, let's go for it. Let's try it.
Yeah.
And so people are receptive. They're open to at least hearing your idea. Now,
absolutely.
A lot of scamming and stuff going on.
There is a lot of scamming.
That's another story for another day.
You have to have some discernment in Atlanta.
For sure.
But I think that's the beauty of it because comparatively to other states, I mean, New York is New York. That's a big city. Everyone's there, right? And it's a cultural melting pot. But they're a little aggressive. They're a little bit different culturally.
A little.
Exactly, right. I don't know how it is to like network there. I don't know how they work together there. But I know, and then if we had to compare ourselves to like California or LA, I feel I've heard people say it's very transactional there. Like, up front, they're not even asking you really your name. Like, what's your IG? They want to see a certain amount of follows, or they're like, what do you do? They preface that a lot. So you really kind of have to find your way through those avenues. But I find myself in Atlanta comparatively, I feel like we stand out amongst those bigger cities because everyone wants to work with everyone has a goal and they want to work with people. But with that being said, you are going to come across those scammers. I will say that in Atlanta, a lot of people do a lot of talking. For sure. And they think they're doing something and they ain't really doing nothing.
That's for sure. A lot of people in Atlanta like saying they have a business and like saying that they're doing something and they're not really doing anything.
And they don't have, and you find out really quickly. You can really weed them out, especially if you're one of those ones that is doing something. But, and it's unfortunate, but like I said, there's more likely than not, if you're putting yourself in the right spaces and you're seeking those opportunities, whether it's going to specific networking events or even if you're just going out for a night, for dinner, for music, whatever it may be, you can find the right people. I'm telling, honestly, majority of our partners and our businesses has been through word of mouth. People are like, oh, I know someone that has a liquor brand, or I know someone that does content, or I know this person that knows this person, I'll connect you. So it's mainly been just in person and networking.
So that said, why was Atlanta the right place to launch Switch?
Okay.
So I want you to tell us a little bit about Switch app.
Okay.
And why Atlanta was the right fit for it.
Yeah. At the time, I don't think we really we were like, oh, Atlanta's the right place. We're just from here. So at the time, so just to tell you guys what Switch is a live audio speed dating app. Our users talk in real time. Then they decide on the back end of that real time conversation if they would like to match or not. And there's some gamified features where, you know, they have conversation drivers. So they're not always thinking of something to say. It's almost like our speed dating events where we have like conversation cards.
For sure.
So same thing digitally. But at the time when Switch started, pretty much, I was in Connecticut. I wasn't even living here.
Okay.
And so that's where the idea came from. I had just graduated college, and in 2020, I started working at ESPN. And so I moved to Bristol, Connecticut. And so I wanted to take my dating life a little bit more seriously. I feel like I never really dated through college, and just having a busy schedule. So I downloaded like 3 or 4 dating apps, and it just... the same thing was happening. I was matching with people. Also, it might be a little bit different for me. I'm a gay woman as well. So it's also geographically where I was at.
For sure.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of challenging stories about here in Atlanta about like how it's difficult to date for queer women.
Oh, really?
Well. Yeah. Well, not necessarily. Not that it's not a lot. No. A lot. I'm not sure, but you can tell me if this is true or not, or if there's some validity to it. But that it's difficult in the sense that there are a lot of queer women in Atlanta who want monogamous relationships, right? And then you might have people who are bi, right? And so they might want, you know, emotional connection with a woman, but they want the appearances of being out and about with a man sometimes. And so I hear that it's frustrating in the community. It's something, you know, as a heterosexual woman, I just never thought about. And I'm like, man, that would be frustrating, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's hard to find someone serious regardless of you're queer or heterosexual.
For sure, because I'm definitely single.
And honestly, in Atlanta, right, like, I will say, and this is proven with our events, right? When we've done our men and women events, we have over 100 plus women, and we can only accept like a max of 45 women, right? Because of the space, the capacity. We've been doing our events at Rocksteady. For sure. So over almost 200 women every time we do an event wants to come to this event, and all we can get is 40 to 45 men total. And maybe day of, some last minute men come in, so maybe like 55, right? But it's 55 to like 170 women that wanted to come to this one event. So I will say, especially in the Black community, there's a strong imbalance of, there's just more women in Atlanta than men. And then on top of that, you're talking about quality men or men that are actually looking for something intentional.
Men who are also willing to take a risk on like a fixed dating situation. Like I feel like I have homeboys or just associates who are like, oh no, I would never do a dating app. I need to meet a woman in the wild. Or meet a woman out and about. But I'm like, but you're still single, right?
So, and that's the thing, that men will say that, and I've heard that too, and I've had these conversations with men, but it's also a lot of times men also are afraid to approach women. And it's weird because I think every woman has a different approach that they would like from a man. So they're in their head. And so often women will say like, he's staring at me and he didn't come. And he's like, why you keep staring at me? But he never says anything. And I think men are just in their head. And oftentimes I'm telling women, and you need to shoot your shot at this time. I feel like at this point, like I said, the world is the man's oyster right now when it comes to dating in dating in Atlanta, especially for Black men. You can pick whoever you want. And that's the thing. If you're seeing a quality man, you're just gonna have to step, and that might be out of your comfort zone. And I know it's not of norm and it's not of tradition, but it's like, what do you have to lose? Like, I mean, both of y'all are single, you know what I mean? So I would just tell women just to like shoot their shots more, because both of you guys are in your head at the end of the day. That's
fair. You know what's interesting? I have a homeboy who is adamant against women shooting their shot.
Really?
So, yes, he hates it.
I would love that.
And I told him, I was just like, are you possibly, you know, settling for women who don't like you, in the sense that, I mean, there are women who are shooting your shot and you definitively know these women like you. They are putting themselves out there to express interest in you. And it's not working out with other women. Right?
The ones that he's approaching. Right.
So I'm like, is it possible that like you like the hunt and you want to pursue someone, right? But you're often, I mean, there's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah,
I don't even
you
know
can just
what
have
the
bad
numbers
taste.
is. Yeah.
Like sometimes, no, but for real, like sometimes we'll get so stuck in our ways about what we want and what boxes they're checking.
And how it should be given to us.
Yeah.
How we should receive it.
And it's like, just be open to the possibility of something new. And once you try it, it's like, okay, cool. Just then you can say, I've already been there, done that. But I feel like a lot of people are just afraid to step out of their comfort zone. I feel like, and maybe the women that are approaching him, maybe he's not attracted to them and things. So I can understand that. But I know statistically, women that shoot their shot and they actually end up dating, like it actually works out better if the woman shoots their shot versus the man shooting the shot.
Interesting. Have you seen that just in person and with the events, or is that something that you saw?
This is what I've heard from talking to different dating coaches, and they're saying like, woman, you just need to shoot your shot. It's going to work out better for you. So, and again, like in a city like in Atlanta, and especially if you're a Black woman in Atlanta, the numbers are off. Honestly, the numbers are like 10-2. Like I would say it's like around that type of ratio. Like I would say shoot your shot, but just know you have to have some discernment because men have options and but don't, I understand not settling, but I don't know. More men need to migrate to Atlanta. It's just really, the odds are not in anyone's favor.
I told my girls, you might have to go to some surrounding state. Get you a man from like South Carolina, or Alabama, or something like that, and just commute.
Absolutely.
I don't know, so.
And I want to answer your first question. Sure. I know we never finished it. So yeah, when I went to Connecticut, I was trying different apps. It was the same thing. I would match with someone and I was always the first person sending the first message, or even if I got a message for someone else and I messaged them back, it just falls, right? And they don't, or even if we get into a text back and forth, right? It was just very hard to get off the app, and also just to get into a phone call, and it was just consistent and redundant through all of through all the other apps. And so for me, it was like, I had a friend, so I ended up deleting all the apps, and I had a friend put me onto Clubhouse super early. And I loved Clubhouse because I was just like, at that time it was like invite only. This is during the pandemic. Everyone is seeking connection because they're not allowed out of their house like that. And so during that time, I found myself up at like 4 a.m. in chat rooms. I was like, I feel like I'll have a better dating app experience or online dating experience if I could just talk to the first person first. Like there's so much that you can learn from in discernment, and then we're just putting a lot on looks and what someone's selling us in that limited profile. And so with Switch, yeah, you're gonna get 2 pictures right out front, but we do have a blind speed dating feature that's coming out very soon.
Interesting. You know what's interesting about you saying that is that I have a personal rule of I try not to go on a date without speaking to the person first, right?
If you meet them online?
Both. Okay. Right? So I don't care if I met you in person or if I met you on an app. I'm not on the apps. I've been off for a little while. But because I just feel like you can learn a lot from a person from just having a 20-minute conversation.
Absolutely.
There's so many people out there who are like, oh, we need to go on a coffee date or go on a park or go to like a very low entry date or whatnot. But I'm like, you can learn a lot by just talking on the phone. Like if I find out that you worship Satan or something like that in the first 20 minutes, we probably don't need to go out, right?
Right, that makes sense.
So
yeah.
I think, and then you just kind of learn, you pick up little things about people, like what they like, what they don't like. You can avoid a lot of awkward situations on the first date. Yeah. People might have dietary restrictions. People might have physical, limitations and things that they can do or not. And I think sometimes we just need to get back into the habit of having conversation again. I think about the fact, when we were kids, if you called someone's house, you had to talk to their mama first. You had to get used to
talking. Or you had to get off the line. Can you get off the line so I can talk to so-and-so?
Exactly. You had to get used to actually speaking to people and having conversations with people, and often it was their sibling, their mom, their dad, or whatnot, having that conversation first, and then segmenting it into them, and then actually making plans and talking to one another to interact.
Naturally, it was, or innately, it was a lot more intentionality because we didn't have all of these apps. We didn't have social media or dating apps. That wasn't a thing. So I think the intention was naturally implied. Now it's more lackadaisical in the sense you have more access. And I think with more access, there's less discernment. When you mix the two with more options, it's just making dating hard in 2025 and so forth. And I think, like you said, we've just strayed away from actually having a conversation. Some people don't even know how to do that. They don't have any conversational skills. They don't know how to ask, what questions to ask, what, like, it's kind of weird and it's unfortunate. And so I don't know. And that's really why Switch was created, because I was like, if people can just get back to talking, and it's still convenient, it's from your phone, you can be on a first date from on your couch, and you also naturally feel more comfortable with someone. I was like, I feel like people will be, there will be less singles in the world. And that's the goal for Switch, is just like, eventually we want to scale outside of dating. We want to be a connection marketplace where you can network easier and just have conversation through networking and things like that. And so the reason why we started out in the dating app industry is because it's a need. Since dating apps started, since they were conceptualized, that was like 2010, 2012. They have not changed format wise. It's the same thing, very nuanced. You might have Christian mingles, you got Black people meet, you got Hispanics over here. Like, you have all these very niche market type of dating apps, but they're all around the same functionality, which is swiping and judging someone off of first impressions, first looks, and thinking like, oh, I'm attracted to this person. If they like me back, I hope we date.
I hope we can make a connection.
Hope is like 80% lost, because people people don't like messaging. They don't respond quicker. They don't respond at all, actually.
And I think there's also an element of it where it is, you feel, I don't know, disposable is not the right word, but you don't have to be fully present, right?
Yes.
You can put this off for later. You can respond. It feels like a text message.
Yeah.
Like, you can respond to this text in a couple of days, or you can respond to it as soon as you get it.
And you have no commitment to that person because you just met them, and you really didn't meet them. They're a stranger. So essentially, it's a glorified hot or not. It's a glorified social media platform that you're hoping that's consolidated in a dating app, and you're hoping to make a connection based off you guys mutually liking, showing interest in each other. And so I think. Yeah, and it's really unfortunate. I think the beauty of dating apps is that it gives you more access to people, but also it has created also another problem where people aren't connecting, and that's what people want. It's so crazy. Most people are saying, I'm looking for intentional dating a lot through their profiles. I swear, if you just go on profiles, especially women's profiles, I'm looking for an intentional dating, someone who's intentional, makes time, call it, like, all these things. But no one knows how to do it. We have no platforms that is forcing you to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point in that you have to force people to do it. And me and my friend, I have a friend who throws events, and we talk about this all the time, in setting up like prefix situations in which people are forced to interact with each other. Because in this day and age, people will come into a room, whether it's the most beautiful, engaging social event in the world, and they will post up at a high boy, and they will get on their phone, right?
Yeah.
Even if there are people, they might, one person will station at every high boy to avoid social interactions with one another, but they're there with the intentionality of meeting people, right? And so I think that's an interesting dynamic. Now, I want to ask you, because I previously owned a dating app, and I actually used to work for Hinge too.
Okay.
Like, it's a very, very
so we look like we might need to work together. I don't know.
Many years ago.
Okay.
But, this market is a beast, right? Most of the dating apps in the market, most people don't know this, are owned by the Match Group.
Yeah.
Right? They are the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and they are a monster. They've been getting this thing like millions of dollars in this industry for years and years and years, right? Was there any factor, like intimidation factor, maybe intimidation isn't the right word, but like apprehension about getting into an industry where there is such like established players who are dominating the game?
I think maybe a little bit in the beginning. I think when we first started, honestly, it was just, I was super passionate about it, and I fell in love with solving the problem. And with that being said, when we were building everything out, the more we fell in love with it, right? And we honestly didn't even think about how we could monetize. And honestly, with the way that our app functions, we can monetize 3 times more than current dating app competitors.
I love that for you.
Thank you. And without having to monetize from solely the consumer. And so with that being said, I think a lot of dating apps, especially Match Group at this point, because they own all of them, they've strayed away from serving the consumer. And I think that lies a gap of opportunity for Switch, because like I said, it has not been innovated. It hasn't. We are patent pending, by the way, and there is nothing that makes you. There is not a dating app that makes you have a live audio conversation first, then match on the back end, and the way that we put our users through it.
For sure.
And so I wouldn't say that we were intimidated. I think the more we worked in the product, the more we refined our target audience, the more we decided or planned on how we were going to go to market and things like that. Our consumers has quite frankly validated our approach. And they said that we built a 1,500 wait list before we launched, and people opted in to saying like why they signed up and why, and majority of them have been on dating apps. And they're like, it just doesn't work. But this seems like a way that you can find a more intentional dating experience online. And I will say that when it comes to Match Group, them buying up majority of the market, right? They would have to restructure all of their apps functionality to somewhat slightly match ours, right? So yes, they have a bunch of money. They can probably build it out and have a competing app like tomorrow, right? But at the same time, if they were trying to put these in their apps, they would have already done it, and then 2, it's jarring to the user. Once they're used to something, and you change it up too much, they don't like it.
For sure. I honestly don't think the Match Group cares. And
they don't care. That's the problem.
They don't care enough to improve their apps, to offer things of quality. It's easier for them to acquire apps that have new approaches to dating than it is to kind of change from being like the one trick pony, right?
Right.
They've seen so much success with it. And I mean, honestly, even in the African American and the Black dating market, they didn't get into that game for years because they just didn't care.
They didn't care.
They didn't have to. They're making millions of dollars.
Money. They don't have to solve the problem.
Why do I have to solve for this smaller segment and a smaller market of people? They just didn't do it because they didn't have to and they didn't want to.
Yeah.
Right? I think they started seeing that the reason why they started to get it to diversify is as, there's money to be had here in the Hispanic market and the Black market and the minority markets or whatnot. And so they took the leap. But even then, the products as compared to, what other products and competitors on the market are piss poor, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. It's just like, what are you looking for? And most people download multiple dating apps because they're seeking something and that they can't find in one app, so they're trying to look for it in another. So yeah, it's unfortunate. And I feel like for us, it's just like, how do we serve the consumer? We don't have to monetize off this consumer. And I think that's the difference between us and Match Group and all of their applications. They literally are not trying to service the consumer because they're making money off the consumer and it's been working in their mundane functionality, right? For us, it's like, how can we service the consumer and make money and not force or sell anything to the consumer right now?
I love that you do that because it takes the burden off of dating apps. I always tell my friends, like, I'm kind of like dating app whisper a little bit.
Okay, I like that.
Friend circle. Like I like when my friends get on the apps, I redo their profiles.
Oh, so you're like a profile creator.
Yeah,
okay,
because
cool.
like having previously owned a dating app, dating app was called Culture Crush, but it was popular in Brazil.
Oh wow. Okay.
So with Afro Brazilians, that was totally random. We actually started the app to focus on West Africans primarily, who were throughout the diaspora, who might have immigrated to another country, but still wanted to date someone of their nationality, ethnicity, or tribe.
Okay, gotcha.
Right? And so there was this opportunity. It was kind of cool at first, right? You would see people who were in like Iowa meeting someone of their from their home country, and they would get married. It was just a really beautiful thing.
Wow.
right? But then a blue ocean of opportunity opened up in Brazil because Brazil is structured very similar to the U.S. and that they, even though Brazilians identify, like 60% of Brazilians identify as Black or mixed race, they are still subjugated to like a minority class status or a second class status, right? And so, you know, when they are on dating apps, they're experiencing a lot of racism. And so they found the app and they were like, we love it. And at some point, like 96% of our downloads start coming from Brazil. Wow. And so we had to do all of these things to give the app a facelift. But that said, I have seen a lot of dating app profiles, right? And people always ask me this. I'm going to look at the camera when I say this. No, I don't read your messages. I never read people's messages.
What, on the dating apps? Or?
On the dating apps. The only time I read people's messages is if someone reports you, right? Like, I have to assess whether you did
Well, now say, look, hey, if she reports you, if you report her, you might get some attention.
Well, so, I mean, when people would, you know, sometimes people would report, oh, I'm being harassed and stuff like that. So me and my team would have to look at the profile, look at the conversations and see what's going on. But every time people would find out, oh, I previously on a dating app, they'd be like, so do you read all the messages? No, I'm not in people's businesses like that. Like, that's just a violation of privacy. Only do it if, you know, there's a situation that might escalate. But that said, I've looked at a lot of profiles and, you know, like you said, a lot about intentionality. And then I think a lot of people on these dating apps, they don't know what the opposite sex or the same sex is looking for. They don't know what the person they want is looking for aesthetically.
Also, men don't take pictures either.
Or they take really bad pictures.
Yeah, they
take
right.
Oh, here, fish. Right?
Why is there a fish in here?
Deer. Like, they're just doing weird stuff in the car.
And it's like from 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So, you know, I overhaul people's profiles from time to time and, you know, give them some tips on, like, what I think the person they are looking for would want, right? And I think as a best practice, if you guys are on the dating apps, which you should be on Switch, right?
You should be on Switch.
You should be on Switch. If you guys are on the dating apps right now, I think you have to think about it in terms of when you put together your profile, especially your pictures, you want a person to see what life would be like with you, right? And that's not all sexy pictures. That's not all filter pictures. That's not all.
Please stop with the filters.
That's not all kissy face duck lips. That might be you in a professional setting. That might be you on vacation. That might be you with some extended family members. That might be you.
Okay, so only with not too many people in the photos.
For sure.
So for our our main profiles, right? Like the functionality we have right now, users are able to decide who they want to speak to. We don't have the blind speed dating feature out right now, but users, we call it the first impression photos when they're signing up. So it's 2 photos because that's all a user is going to see. So we make it clear, like, this is your first impression.
You got to give it all you got.
Right. So we say, we break that down into 2 when you're signing up. Then when you're building the rest of your profile, then it's like, okay, you have like 5 more photos you can add to your full profile. But for us, and also they do a switch note. So that's where it's like freestyle or it's like they can respond to a prompt. So a lot of people, since it's freestyle, they've been showing their creativity, or some of them are just like, hey, my name is Derek. What, you know, like, you know what I mean? So they don't have that much creativity, but we try to break it down like, hey, just choose your best photos. And then.
Now, do you have recommendations on best photos, like a body shot, head shot?
We can add that in. I thought about that because I know for men, they will put group photos because that's the only time they take photos on those like occasional times that they do it.
Or like a selfie in the car.
Exactly, a selfie in the car. They do
from like
that.
10 years ago.
Yeah, and it's so old, right? So we do need to do that, honestly, and because I would hate to see like 2 group photos, and I'm like, okay, which one are you? Like, I don't know which one you are. So, but that's something we can do, like just add real quick.
So, what has been the most interesting thing about this process? Like, from the development of the app to doing user research to growing your wait list, like what is the most insightful thing or even surprising thing you've learned about like the dating app process and building a product?
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about everything.
Yeah.
Like literally everything outside of like building the business part of it. We never approached it like that. But I don't know. I think development, I mean, majority of the funds that we have raised thus far has gone towards the development. And so we're on our 3rd firm. first firm, they just built the prototype. We were out. My business partner was in Florida, and then I was at Connecticut at the time when we started the company. And so we both moved back to Atlanta in August 2021. And so for us, we're like, we just need someone to build the prototype. And we used the prototype to raise funding. And then starting in 2022, we found a new firm, got an investor, and worked with them. And honestly, we didn't build community at all. And I think that was like our biggest sign that once we launched our product, we maybe had like 200 to 400 followers on Instagram. We just didn't market. And so when we went to market, there was no market to be on the app. So I think that's the hardest part. I think going through development, even though we had to go through a couple of firms before we found like our one, I think the biggest thing is like learning the customer and what they want and how we were able to build the community that we have right now. And it's still growing, obviously. But when we launched a beta. No one even knows this really, not many. We launched a beta in 2023. We probably gained 400 total users within a year. Terrible. Like absolutely terrible. And majority of the people we knew. So it was kind of it was a eye opener for us. And when in 2024, we got news that we got into Techstars. And in previous years before, we tried to get into Techstars, never got in. And so probably because the product wasn't out, honestly, but never got in. But we kept networking, trying to find our way, put our foot in the door. And when we finally got into Techstars, we were like, we're not doing that again. It was like our a breath of fresh air. So
for sure.
When we got that funding, we pivoted dev firms. We started hosting events. And honestly, our hosting in-person events has built our wait list up to 1,500. And then when we launched on Valentine's Day, we had 1,100 downloads in the first month
That's amazing. You just like triple what you did in a year.
It was just because we had no market, we had no following. There was no intentionality of how we were going to get the users for our app. And now we don't pay for media, like paid ads or anything like that. We're getting daily downloads. And it's just purely because the promo for the events, then we have the events, the post events. So we started doing date giveaways, planning, and I love doing that because like I can plan the itinerary between the couples that match at our events, and that's opened up opportunity with partnerships with like Escape Game. We haven't released it yet, but just like doing things like that where we're giving free dates to users. I mean, people that came to the events or users, we can do that too. But all of that has created a cycle of people downloading the app, word of mouth traction, and honestly, we're so excited now to release the new feature because it's going to be with brand partners and things like that, where users can choose the different rooms that they blind speed date with. And maybe they can even speed date with, I don't know, a Drewski or whatever person we decide to collab with, and they host their own virtual event and switch. So yeah.
I have so many thoughts, so many things to share.
Yes.
So interestingly enough, my first job at Hinge was to essentially facilitate dates between people, right? So people would match. And a lot of people don't know this about Hinge because now it's positioned as like the dating app to be deleted. But prior, when Hinge first launched, the reason why it's called Hinge is because...
I've always wanted to know this.
The reason why Hinge is called Hinge... And Justin and Bennett, you guys hit me up if I get this wrong. But the reason why Hinge is called Hinge is because when Hinge originally started, it was meant to connect you with a friend of a friend. So the friend was the hinge in between you and like their friend. So
it's like referrals.
Yeah. So the concept was that you have a better chance of finding love if you have a mutual friend in common. Okay. Right. And so that is play on the words hinge, like the person is the connector in between you. Okay. Right. And so literally the way the app used to work is that you had to sign in with Facebook and everyone who you would be referred to would be a friend of a friend. So they would be somehow connected to one of your friends' networks, right? Gotcha. And then they refer them to you, then you make a match. Now, after those people would make a match, they get sent to me, in which I'd be like, okay, you made a match, and here are some recommendations on things I think you should do for your dates.
Okay.
So come a long way since then.
Absolutely. It's completely not that
completely
anymore.
Different. But I think this is also an interesting lesson too in like positioning and marketing and as far as dating apps or just any product is concerned, right? In order for your app to be sticky and to have a position in the market, somebody's got to opt in and somebody's got to opt out, right? And so I think Tinder had taken the crown as the hookup dating app, right? And there needed to be a app in the market for those who wanted love, for those who wanted to be in a long-term relationship and hence rolled in the dating app to be deleted. Right. So I think that's really, really interesting that you guys actually connect people and make recommendations and referrals on like things they should do once they kind of get connected. But I also think it was just really interesting about how the marketing came into play and like how you guys discover the right fit for you. Because so many of like my students, people I've worked with, people who I consult for, they're like, okay, we need to just be heads down, building that, getting that.
You got to get out there.
You got to sell.
You got to get out there. You literally have to put yourself in the community or a community and build from there. And then I think also, I want to go back to 2023 when we first released it. One, we released it way too soon. It wasn't ready, and we weren't ready because we put all our focus, like you said, our heads were down. We were focused on the app. But at the same time, I think I want to just talk to being a Black woman tech founder because, and then gay at that, like, I think we were so worried about a lot of times a Black business, especially in tech, we have this inevitable glass ceiling that we were trying to fight against. That's why we're like, we just didn't care about the marketing because we were like, we don't want our app just to be for Black people. Yes, we love our people. We want our people to find love. But at the same time, it's like, we want to be just as big as Match Group or bigger, right? So it's like, we want to be able to dictate our own business. I want to be able to make our own moves and how we scale and things like that. And so for us, we were like, this app is for everyone. Like, everyone can find agency in this type of functionality. And so we were so concerned that if we market it to the Black community, that we would just be stuck there and that we would be pigeonholed in that this is an app for only Black singles. And so that kind of was our apprehensions and our hesitations up front. And so now when we got that second chance in 2024, with the Techstars investment, we were like, fuck it. Like, I don't know if I can say that. I can say that. Okay. We're like, fuck it. Like, we got to get people on the app. We can always remarket, reposition, and gather more people. And inevitably, honestly, you know, it started to diversify the more people heard about Switch and the events that we were having and things like that and how hard it is as a woman to get into the events. And mind you, we don't want to make it hard for a woman to get into the events. It's the men. It's not us. It's like, if we could rent out a bigger venue and so because we have the demand equally from the men's side, then we would. And we would have 100-person men and women event, 200 people event, right? So for us, I think we were just so worried about us being, because I guess like our advisors at the time too, and a lot of people are always saying there's riches in the niches and like niche your market folk, and they're like, you guys are Black. We were like, oh yeah, we know we're Black, but it's not a Black app. And I think we got lost in that. And so which prevented us from taking that first step to building our community. So then also doing the in-person events and also just learning how the dating app market has changed. People are craving IRL experiences. And so people are always gravitating towards meeting in person because they're trying to get off platforms. So we were like, okay, and this is kind of the hurdle we had to jump over too, was that not only we needed to get in person with our consumers, our future consumers, but we wanted to give something different, which speed dating is different. And we executed very well. We obviously had to learn. There's some trial and error back in 22 and 23. But now we have it down to a science. We have staff members that have volunteered their times. There's been women that have experienced our dating events and have hit us up and say, hey, we love what you're doing. We want to be volunteers. And they've,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So we've built out our team and we just have the help now. Just because everyone involved is so passionate about this. But for us, it's like speed dating is such a nuanced concept. And when we're trying to promo to get them in, because there's a balance, you have to have it even. Like, you can't have 40 women and 15 men. Like, that's just disrespectful. Like, they're paying their money, right? So I'll cancel an event. Like, if it's not even, I'll cancel it.
Oh, I appreciate and respect you for doing that, because don't nobody want to get their time wasted out here, right?
Especially women. And like, I know also being a woman, we get our nails done, eyebrows done, makeup done. You know, like, we plan to go to certain things. We get our outfit. So I would just never do that to women, and the woman that we approved to come to the event, right? So for us, I don't even know. I went down the cycle. I've lost what we were talking about. But honestly,
we're talking about marketing, and I think it's interesting about your marketing and like that fear and apprehension about actually focusing on the Black market, right? And I think the other side of it, outside of like pigeonholing yourself, is that we don't have unlimited budget, right? And so I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to make it just a Black thing. I don't want to make it just a blank thing or whatnot. But like, you may have to start with that market, because one, it's the one you might be most familiar with. You know, it's the one that you can master. Two, is the one of most cultural influence, right? Absolutely. When Black people do something, we pick up something, it trends. Absolutely. Right?
And I didn't want it just to be a trend, something that like just went skyrocketed and then plateaued. And so that's what I was worried about too, of just like, or we were overall just worried about, is like, okay, if we start with the Black market, like, we don't want investors only investing because it's a Black. Like, we just really wanted to sell the vision.
Yeah, especially in light, or like, you know, on the heels of everything that happened in like 2020, and people are like, okay, diversity, inclusion, I'm going to invest in that, and then I'm going to pull my money out. Right? Yeah, I'm going to pull my interest out.
The funding is not there, especially in 2025. Like, these investors, and I do want to touch on that because we've had to raise funding in a very savvy way. And honestly, I think it's just divine. And I wouldn't even say it's more so us being savvy. It's just right place, right time, and opportunity. And just cultivating those, like, networking and cultivating those relationships. But right now, VCs, if anyone is to stop going for VCs, like, let them come to you. And if they come to you, they need to come correct. And that's hard to say because you need the funding to scale, right? But
it's like dating, right? Yeah. It's like dating to some degree. It's almost getting married in the sense, right? Yeah. And you want to be in bed with the right person, right? Absolutely. Because you are tied to them for a long time, right? For the duration of the life of your company. And so you want somebody who adds value outside of that superficial thing of, I mean, it's not superficial in the terms of like you need the money, right? Yeah. But it's a transactional way. You don't want that. You wouldn't want that in your everyday relationship. You wouldn't want that when you in your interaction on Switch. Yeah, you wouldn't want that.
You need time.
Right. And then I also think that, you know, a lot of people, especially when they're in their pre-seed and seed stages, they're not thinking about the fact that an investor, a traditional investor, a VC is looking for a 10x return on their investment, right? And so a lot of times you're too early. And so the best position to be in when you're raising money is when you don't need money. Right? Absolutely. When you are actually making sales. So I tell people, oh, no, you don't need to raise right now. You need some customers.
Yeah. And I think that's the hardest part because it's that area of gray between being too early, not needing to raise, but needing customers. That area of gray is the funding. Like at the end of the day, those little pockets between those steps is the money, because it's like that's where you have to get very creative of like how you're going to grow.
That is the hack, right? If you can hack that, you're in for a ride. Like you might be equipped for the next level.
Absolutely. And so we started doing our social media. We hired a social media person. It was a friend of a friend. She did a great job. But you know, it was just too expensive. We had to cut. We couldn't keep paying her, right? And I had to tap back into my producer bag, and now I manage all the social media. But that's hard because there's all these other things, right? That includes outside of the social media. Like we're doing the events, planning the events, and the dates for that. That's a whole department within itself. And then I think the biggest thing is like, at least conversations I have with investors, especially VCs too, it seems like we're sold as entrepreneurs are sold that we really need investors. And we do, right? But you don't. Like, and this is me on the other end of raising almost 400K, right? It's like, You don't. Like, I wish we would have been a little bit more strategic the way we raised money and raised less and kept tight and gotten to this point, right?
How would you have done it differently if you would have known what you know now?
Wouldn't have worked with a couple, some during development. I think, honestly, being in tech, your development partner is key. Like,
makes or breaks you.
Literally makes or breaks us. Like, quite literally. And that's the hardest part, because you're saying you wouldn't want a transactional relationship with an investor. It's the same thing with your developer, especially if you're a non-technical founder. I'm a non-technical founder. I'm a visionary, cool. But for me, it's like, you don't know until you're in it. Like, you just really don't know until you're in it. Even if you're getting the vibes and it feels good, you don't know until you get to that point and you're like, wait, like, and then you have something to compare it to. And for us, we didn't know that until we are now on our third firm and true partner. And when it comes to development, you don't need someone that are yes men that are just going to build you the product. They need to be just as passionate. They need to be working with you. They need to be like, okay, I know, I understand it's a business, but at least our dev firm now, Code Technologies, they're based out of the UK. Please, I'm telling you, I've referred like 4 to 5 companies and they love them. But they work with us, like truly work with us, and will give me breakdowns of like phasing out development of like, okay, we can implement this way to monetize, and this is this cost. And like, he's doing a case study for us right now, and he's like, hey, I'm going to take care of all your maintenance because I believe in this. Like he's like, there's so many people I've told about this app and they believe in it. And he's like, I just really want to work on it. I'm going to do a case study because I'm trying to grow our development company as well. So true partner. But I would say, like, if I had to do it all over again, I would not do it all over again. Like, in the sense of, I wouldn't change anything. I'm sorry.
For sure.
Yeah. Like, don't cut it like that.
I'll cut that out.
Yeah. No, I would not change anything, because it's a process. It's a journey. And honestly, you just have to learn. Going through this, you're learning. Like, and I think the knowledge that I've gained going through this process, I think the only thing people need to understand is that, yes, there are some rare companies where you can scale very fast, but there's also a deficit in scaling too fast, right? For us, we're almost 4.5 years in, and we're just getting to the point where we got customers. Like, and we're just getting to the point where we're about to launch monetization, or we're just getting to the point where people actually know and heard of us. So I think just fall in love with the process. Don't worry about the money. The money is coming. If you're solving a problem and you're getting the right feedback, the feedback that matters, because not all feedback matters, right? Like, don't take everyone's advice, and everyone don't know what they're talking about. And I stay true to that. A lot of people are talking. They have never walked in your shoes. And this comes for VCs. They're more metric based and things like that.
A lot of VCs are just wealthy people who have never been entrepreneurs.
And let me get back to the point of what I was saying earlier. I'm so ADD. It's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship.
For sure.
VC have LPs, limited partners, that these rich people give their money to the VC to invest. But VCs don't operate in what investing was truly based on back in 2000s, when Microsoft and Apple came. You just simply believed in a vision of something in the entrepreneur. They are going based off market, metrics, numbers. But if we kind of break down all of VCs, and majority of VCs investments go to waste, and there may be 1 or 2 unicorn companies out of that, right? That actually make back all
maybe 1 out of 10.
So then I'm like, as an entrepreneur, I'm like, as a VC, if you guys knew what you were talking about, you wouldn't have allowed as many companies to just fail and waste your money. So, because my thing is, like you said, it's a relationship. So if you guys knew what you were talking about and you guys are doing your check-ins, right? And you're providing the money, why would you not put them in connection with the right people and to avoid the failing of that business? So also, second to that, it's like, why aren't you guys investing in Black businesses? It makes no sense statistically, especially Black women-owned founded companies. We do far better. So it's like, why aren't you investing? We actually decreased to like 0.4. And before it was like 0.4 of investments, which is disgusting. It's like, and it's so sad being in Atlanta because there's some great companies out here, and Southeast region in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I'm just like, why aren't you guys investing? Like, who are you investing in and why? Because it doesn't matter. Like, at
They're
this
investing
point,
in people who look like them and people who are in proximity to them. And I think sometimes it's not even just racism. It is also, you know, I invest in things I understand, and I'm not seeking to understand anything outside of me and my frame of reference.
And
but
they want it in a minute.
But it does not make economic sense to not sow into or learn more about other industries, other sectors that you may not be familiar with, right? We are going to be a minority country soon, right? And there's no avoiding that. Right? Despite efforts, there's no avoiding that. And it does not make logistical or economic sense to not invest in minority markets or in minority founders, right? Because they're going to have a different perspective, even if their product targets the entire general market. They're going to have a unique approach to rolling this product out, to scaling it and growing it. And if you're not looking into that, then you're doing your LPs a disservice.
And that's the thing. And at that point, you might as well, as a tech entrepreneur, network your ass off and get angel investors. Because at this point, it's like, we can cut out the VCs and go straight to the LPs, but we just don't know who the LPs are, right? So if there's someone can create a business of finding actual limited partners for that are backing these VCs, we can go straight to them. Because at that point, because I believe LPs they have money, right? So it's like, they're trying to diversify their portfolio, so they back VCs because they probably do angel investing, but like you said, it's close proximity. So my thing is like, I don't need the VC. Anytime I talk to an investor, I don't even need a pitch deck. We talk in here, and then I might show them so they can see what it looks like, and they're like, I get it. You're in the business of consumer insights, and like, you have so many different ways that you can strategically make money. Like, I love it. Like, it's just that simple. Like, I think it's just too many barriers to entry to money, and it should not be when we have all these Black businesses that are actually solving problems and, quite frankly, creating markets. And yeah, it's really frustrating. So for me, yes, I would love to be backed by VC, but at the same time, I feel like what we're doing right now, we can still scale the way we've been doing, and it's starting to get to the point where I don't think I need a VC.
Well, I love that for you, because I think people don't also realize that, like, VC money, depending on how it's deployed, is debt, right? You're beholden to this investor now, and depending on the terms of your deal, you might have to show up in certain ways or make decisions you wouldn't normally make because you now have someone else's money attached to it. And so
it's an extra burden for sure.
For sure. So with that, I think this was incredibly insightful. You dropped some gems. But wrapping up, what would be the last piece of advice you would give to someone who is thinking about not necessarily even going into the dating market, but in building an app in general? What is the one piece of advice you would give to a founder who is thinking about taking the leap?
Always remember why, going through the process, why you're starting the business that you're trying to pursue, right? I think we were so naive about this, right? I didn't look at a podcast. I didn't listen to a podcast. Really didn't do much research. I'm like, there's no live audio speed dating apps. Let's do it, right? I literally fell in love with just people being able to connect like they did back in the 90s and the 80s, just talking on the phone. So fall in love with your idea and stay true to that, and don't be afraid to pivot. Like, in the sense of, maybe that wasn't your original intent. Because at the end of the day, once you start getting to a place of getting users on your app, the users are going to dictate what your app is. So I think focus on solving the problem and being in service to future consumers of your application. And once you do that, I think you can stay the course. Like, you're going to be thrown some bullshit. There's going to be a lot of bullshit when it comes to raising, pitch competitions, VCs, whatever it may be, but stay the course. Like, you got to be in love with it. It's not easy. Most people, it takes almost like 6-7 years to get to the point where you're like, it's a brand recognizable brand, right? So I think just fall in love with it. Don't be afraid to take the risk. You got to start somewhere. You don't need all that research or anything like that. know what you want to do, know what problem you want to solve, and do anything that you can to solve it.
I love that.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to wrap up, but tell everybody how they can get on Switch app and how they can go to one of your events.
Yes, so we're doing a little pause on the events. It's really taking me out. Switch, again, it's on the App Store. It's on iOS and Android. So you can go to our website at myswitchapp.com or on Instagram or TikTok, just type in My Switch App and you can find, get to the app that way. But if you want to go specifically to the app, just type in Switch Dating App and you should find us there as well. And if you ever want to reach out to us, all of our contact information is on our website. Again, myswitchapp.com. And thank you guys so much for tuning into the podcast.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you. It's been wonderful. It's been hugely insightful. And there's some things I didn't know about you and didn't know about the product. I try to do my research, but there's some things I love that.
You want a speed date real quick? We can test it out.
Oh my gosh. Like right now? Like, what do you...
I mean, let's do it. Like, we got some time. You want to do it? You want to do... Hold on, because if it stop acting right, I'm going to call my firm. No, but, no, it's... we can do it off
For sure.
But at least so you can try it, so you can see it. Because I would love your perspective. I didn't know your background either. I appreciate you. Like, I would love to... Let's network.
For sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Yes. This is great. And it'll be out in a couple weeks.
Okay, awesome. Cool.